So let's talk about Iran. So Iran right now has been going through, well, now 8 days, I would say, 8 days of intense rioting that started in the bazaars and is spread out to over 100 sites across 22 of their different provinces. It's been quite bad. At least 15 people have died. And it's all because of the economy. Their money is just, their inflation means that their money is worthless. They're very upset with, the Ayatollah for allowing all this to happen. It's an economic based riot. But overall, obviously, they're very unhappy. But this Venezuela thing has seriously affected Iran. And this is, again, what I mean about geopolitical links and this idea that, oh, well, if Russia and China are going to think twice about things, well, then, they're going to, this is a good thing. Like, fuck off, Farage. Like, how do you not get it? How do you not get it? So, Iran actually is allies with the Maduro administration in Venezuela. It's where Hezbollah has a lot of its money. It's where a lot of their military finances are. It's where their drone manufacturing is. So losing access to Venezuela is huge for the existing administration in Iran. It means that it destabilizes their military might, which, if you might recall, the last time we saw it was when Israel and Iran started exchanging fire back in June 2025. And in retaliation, because the U.S. helped Israel with that, and in retaliation for that, Iran then bombed a U.S. base in Qatar. So we had that little scuffle back in June. So now what we have are these riots happening. And Trump, Mr. I'm tired of policing the rest of the world, police yourselves, is gone, if you guys don't sort that out, I'm going to have to come in. Do I have to come in? I'm going to come in. I'm going to come in and sort that out. If you don't sort that out, I'm going to come in. Which, of course, the Ayatollah has gone, don't you fucking dare. Like, don't you dare. Don't you, this is my, I'm dealing with it. Listen, I'm dealing with it. We've done it before. Back in the 70s, there was a bit of an upset when we came in, but I'm dealing with it. Anyway, the main support of Iran is Russia. But Russia's economy is also not doing so great with the prolonged war in Ukraine and all of the sanctions on all of their money and the freezes and everything else. So everyone's looking at Iran right now going, oh, interesting. What's going to happen there? And you go, but what can happen? What can happen? I mean, they're fighting against an autonomous regime. So if they topple a person, it's kind of like what's that figure in Greek mythology where you cut off a head and another one grows. You have to chop all the heads off, otherwise they just keep going. It's kind of like that. Like, you could get rid of one person, but then someone else is going to come in with similar ideas, and they're going to continue to similarly oppress and probably screw with the Iranian economy. So everyone's watching it with interest, but at the same time going, oh, will this destabilize the Middle East? I don't think so. Iran's not that capable of destabilizing the entire region. There's so much strength there now with Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the UAE all providing at least a financial stable connection to the West, where there's a lot of agreement on things. And of course, in Saudi and Qatar, we're seeing a lot of it's not whitewashing, but sport washing, saying all of this, we're starting to come together and just kind of like, we'll ignore your human rights things because you throw a really good football party. We're seeing all of that. So Iran, its biggest danger, of course, is its weapons program, but it said it's not doing that because it's trying to get sanctions lifted. So it's been it's been saying, look, we're not doing all the stuff you don't want us to do. We're not really developing weapons. And now with Venezuela gone, they definitely don't have access to a lot of money and weapons. So yeah, it's an interesting one to keep an eye on. Hydra, Medusa. Yeah, I thought Medusa, but does Medusa have a Hydra on her head? Is that? Because with Medusa, you cut off the snake's heads, don't you? And then they grow back. But Hydra. So maybe she has a Hydra on her head. Exactly that, guys. Yeah, she had snakes' hair that would grow. Well, anyway, if you're watching out for anything, keep a little eye out on Iran. See what's happening there. It's interesting. Obviously, I think Venezuela, this story is going to run and run and run. And we will see what we're going to see what happens there, and what kind of government gets installed there, what the ramifications are back in the US, if there are any. I mean, at this point, he's running America a bit like a dictatorship, isn't he? He's just sort of doing what he likes, ignoring rule of law. But is there happy news? Shall we talk about happy news? Interestingly, this came up in last night's Times Radio. Saturday jobs. Kids aren't getting as many Saturday jobs as they used to. And I was on Times Radio. I was there with Nick Wallace, who's great. And he said, what's your solution for this? And I said, it's going to surprise you, because a lot of people don't think that I'm like this. What are your thoughts, guys? Because I am massively in favor, which people are going, really? Totally. Massively. So the story is, kids aren't getting as many Saturday jobs. 16, 17-year-olds, they don't have as many Saturday jobs as they used to. It used to be like at least half a century ago were employed at this age, and now it's a third or less. And we have a lot of kids that are called NEETs, right? Not in education, employment, or training. NEETs. So they're just wandering around the streets, living off their parents, possibly committing petty crime. I don't know, but they're not gainfully employed in one way or the other. And they blamed it on the lack of the Saturday job, which is also why they said kids aren't fit for purpose when they come into the workforce, because they've never had a job. They don't understand how to show up on time. They don't understand how to follow orders. And I said, well, that's what you're supposed to do at school, is show up on time and do what your teacher tells you and turn in your homework by deadline. Like that is what school is. That's the training.